I want you to take a deep breath with me right now. Just one breath. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Did you notice something? In that single moment, the chaos stopped. The busyness paused. The urgency faded. And there was just you breathing, being, existing in this eternal now. That's what I want to talk with you about today. Because I know you're overwhelmed. I know your schedule is packed. I know your to-do list seems endless. I know there are demands coming at you from every direction, people needing things, deadlines looming, responsibilities piling up. I know you go to bed exhausted and wake up already behind. I know you feel like you're drowning in busyness, like you can't catch your breath, like you're losing yourself in the chaos. And I want to tell you something that might sound impossible right now. You can have peace in the middle of all of it. Not when everything calms down, not when you finally get caught up, not when life slows down. Right now, right here, in the midst of the storm, you can be at peace. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wayne, you don't understand how busy I am. You don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't see the mountain of things I have to handle. And you're right. I don't know your specific circumstances. But here's what I do know. After decades of studying human consciousness and working with thousands of people, busyness isn't what steals your peace. It's your relationship with busyness that steals your peace. It's not the activities themselves, but the energy you bring to those activities. It's not the pace of life, but the way you're moving through that pace. And that's actually extraordinary news, because it means you have far more control than you think. Let me share something that transformed my own life. There was a period when I was traveling constantly, writing books, giving lectures, doing interviews, managing a family, trying to be everything to everyone. I was the poster child for busyness, and I was miserable. I kept thinking, when this tour ends, I'll rest. When this book is done, I'll have peace. When things settle down, I'll be able to breathe. But you know what happened? Things never settled down. There was always another tour, another book, another demand. And one day, sitting in yet another airport, exhausted and frustrated, something clicked. I realized I was waiting for external circumstances to give me permission to be at peace. I was making peace, conditional on busyness, going away. And in that moment, I understood that day would never come. Life wasn't going to slow down. If I wanted peace, I had to find it right here in the middle of the madness. That realization changed everything. Because here's what I discovered. Peace isn't a destination you arrive at when life calms down. Peace is a choice you make in every moment, regardless of what's happening around you. Peace is your natural state when you stop resisting what is. And I want to be clear about something. When I talk about peace, I'm not talking about passivity. I'm not talking about doing nothing or lowering your standards or giving up on your ambitions. I'm talking about a quality of being that you can maintain while doing everything you're doing. I'm talking about inner stillness in the midst of outer movement. I'm talking about being the eye of the hurricane, calm and centered while the winds swirl around you. Let me take you deeper into this. The ancient Taoists had a concept called Wu Wei, which is often translated as effortless action or non-doing. But it doesn't mean not doing. It means doing without forcing, moving without struggle, accomplishing without strain. It means being so aligned with the natural flow of life that your actions arise from a place of ease rather than effort. Think about a river. A river is constantly moving, constantly flowing, constantly active. But is it stressed? Is it anxious? Is it overwhelmed by how much ground it has to cover? Of course not. It simply flows, following the path of least resistance, moving with grace and power simultaneously. That's what's available to you. That's the quality of being I'm inviting you to explore. Now, I need to talk to you about what's really happening when you feel overwhelmed by busyness. Because on the surface, it looks like you have too much to do. It looks like the problem is external. All these demands and obligations and responsibilities. But when we look deeper, we find something else. The real problem isn't the busyness itself. The real problem is that you've disconnected from your center. You've lost touch with that still, quiet place within you that exists beneath all the activity. You've allowed your attention to become so scattered across all the things you need to do that you've forgotten the one who is doing them. You've identified completely with the doer, with the roles you play, with the tasks you perform. And when you live that way, yes, you will be overwhelmed. Yes, you will lose your peace because you've forgotten who you really are. So let's talk about who you really are. Beneath all your roles, beneath all your responsibilities, beneath all the busyness and activity, there's a you that is always at peace. There's a dimension of your being that is untouched by circumstances, unmoved by chaos, unaffected by how much is on your plate. This isn't some spiritual abstraction. This is as real as the breath you're breathing right now. You've experienced it before, maybe in moments of deep meditation, or in nature, or in those rare, quiet moments when everything falls away and there's just pure being. That peaceful presence isn't something you create, it's something you are. And it's always there, always available, always accessible, no matter how busy life gets. The problem is, we've been conditioned to believe that peace comes from having everything under control, from getting everything done, from eliminating the chaos. But that's backwards. That's why so many people spend their entire lives chasing peace and never finding it. They're looking in the wrong place. They're trying to rearrange the external world to give them an internal experience. But peace doesn't work that way. Peace comes from reconnecting with your essential nature. It comes from remembering that you are not your to-do list. You are not your schedule. You are not the sum total of your responsibilities. You are the awareness in which all of that appears. Let me give you something practical here because I don't want this to remain theoretical. I want you to start practicing what I call the sacred pause. Throughout your day, especially when you're feeling most overwhelmed, most busy, most stressed, I want you to stop just for 10 seconds. Don't try to fix anything. Don't try to figure anything out. Just stop and take a conscious breath. In that pause, ask yourself, am I present right now? Or am I lost in my thoughts about everything I have to do? 9 times out of 10, you'll discover you're not actually present. You're somewhere in the future worrying about what needs to happen. Or you're in the past replaying what didn't get done. But you're not here, not now, not present to this moment. And here's what's beautiful. This moment, right now, is never overwhelming. It's only when you pile up all the moments, past and future, into this moment that it becomes too much. Right now, in this actual present moment, you're breathing, you're alive, you're here. And that's it. That's all that's happening right now. Everything else is thought. Everything else is mental projection. Yes, you have things to do, but you don't have to do them all right now. You only have to do what this moment requires. And this moment never requires more than you can handle. Never. Let me tell you about a woman I worked with several years ago. She was a corporate executive, single mother of 3, caring for aging parents, trying to maintain a household, volunteering in her community. By any measure, her life was incredibly busy. When she first came to me, she was on the verge of a breakdown. She couldn't sleep. She was developing health problems. She was snapping at her kids. She felt like she was failing at everything. And she kept saying the same thing, I just need to get through this busy period and then I'll be okay. But when we looked at her calendar for the next year, there was no end to the busy period. It just kept going. So I asked her a question that stopped her in her tracks. What if this is it? What if life is always going to be this full? What if busyness is the permanent condition, not a temporary situation? How would you need to change your relationship with it? At first, she was devastated by that question. But then something shifted. She realized she had been torturing herself with the belief that someday life would slow down. She had been postponing peace, postponing joy, postponing really living, waiting for a mythical future that was never going to arrive. And in seeing that clearly, She made a different choice. She decided to find peace right where she was. Now, here's what happened. She didn't quit her job. She didn't stop caring for her parents. She didn't reduce her responsibilities, but she changed how she showed up to them. She started taking those sacred pauses throughout her day. She stopped multitasking and started doing one thing at a time with full presence. She let go of the guilt about what wasn't getting done and focused on being fully present to what was right in front of her. She started saying no to things that didn't truly matter. And within weeks, everything began to shift. Not because her life got less busy, but because she stopped fighting the busyness. She stopped resisting what was, and in that acceptance, in that surrender, she found the peace that had been there all along. That's what I want for you. Not less activity, although that might be a natural result, but a different quality of consciousness in the midst of your activity. A way of moving through your busy life with grace instead of strain, with presence instead of anxiety, with peace instead of overwhelm. And I want to be clear, this isn't about becoming passive or checking out. This is about becoming more effective, more present, more alive. When you operate from a place of peace, you actually get more done, and you do it better. You make clearer decisions. You have more energy. You're more creative. You're more resilient. Peace isn't the absence of productivity. Peace is the foundation of true productivity. Now, I need to address something that might be blocking your peace right now, and that's the belief that busyness equals importance. We live in a culture that has made busyness a status symbol. We wear our exhaustion like a badge of honor. We compete about who's more overwhelmed, who has less time, who's more in demand. We've confused busyness with value, activity with achievement, exhaustion with dedication. And this is making us sick. It's stealing our joy. It's destroying our relationships. It's killing our peace. Because when you believe that busyness makes you important, you will never slow down. You will never rest. You will never allow yourself to simply be. Because being isn't busy enough, isn't productive enough, isn't impressive enough. But I want you to consider a different possibility. What if your worth has nothing to do with how busy you are? What if your value isn't measured by your productivity? What if the most important thing about you isn't what you accomplish, but who you are? Not what you do, but the quality of presence you bring to whatever you're doing. Not how much you get done, but how awake you are while you're doing it. When you really take that in, when you let that truth penetrate, it changes everything. Because suddenly, you're not trying to prove your worth through busyness. You're not trying to earn your place through exhaustion. You can just be. And from that place of being, from that ground of peace, you can do what needs to be done with so much more ease and effectiveness. Let me share with you what I call the peace inventory. I want you to look at your life right now and honestly assess where your time and energy are going. I'm not talking about creating another to-do list. I'm talking about something deeper. I want you to ask yourself, of all the things I'm busy with, how many of them actually matter? How many of them am I doing because they're truly important to me? And how many am I doing because I think I should, because someone else expects it, because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't? This is crucial, because a huge amount of our busyness is self-imposed. It's not actually necessary. It's driven by fear, by guilt, by old conditioning, by the need to please others, by the inability to say no. When you start to examine this honestly, you'll likely discover that a significant portion of what keeps you busy isn't actually serving you or anyone else in any meaningful way. You're doing it on autopilot. You're doing it because you've always done it. You're doing it because you're afraid to stop. And here's what I want you to understand. Every yes to something that doesn't truly matter is a no to something that does. Every minute you spend on activities that drain you is a minute you can't spend on what energizes you. Every ounce of energy you give to obligations that aren't aligned with your values is energy you don't have for what actually matters. Your peace depends on your willingness to be ruthless about what gets your time and energy. This brings me to something that might be difficult to hear, but it's essential. You're going to have to disappoint some people. You're going to have to let some things go. You're going to have to say no more often than you're comfortable with. Because the truth is, you cannot do everything. You cannot be everything to everyone. You cannot meet every expectation, fulfill every request, attend every event, complete every task. It's impossible. And when you try, you don't just lose your peace. You lose yourself. You become a hollow version of who you really are, running on empty, disconnected from your center, giving from a place of depletion rather than overflow. So let me ask you something. What would happen if you stopped trying to do it all? What would happen if you gave yourself permission to be human, to have limits, to prioritize? What would happen if you focused on the few things that really matter and released everything else? I know what your fear says. Your fear says everything will fall apart. People will be angry. You'll be judged. You'll fail. You'll lose opportunities. But you know what? Those fears are almost always bigger than reality. And even if some of those things do happen, even if some people are disappointed, even if some opportunities pass by, is that really worse than losing yourself? Is that really worse than living in constant overwhelm? Is that really worse than sacrificing your peace, your joy, your health, your sanity on the altar of busyness? Here's something I've learned. The world doesn't need you to be busy. The world needs you to be present. Your children don't need you to do more. They need you to be more available when you're with them. Your work doesn't need you to be exhausted. It needs you to be creative and focused. Your relationships don't need you to be scattered across a million activities. They need you to be truly there, truly engaged, truly listening. And none of that happens when you're drowning in busyness. It only happens when you protect your peace, when you guard your energy, when you have the courage to create space in your life. Let me give you another practice that has been transformative for so many people. I call it single tasking. This is radical in our multitasking culture, but it's essential for peace. Whatever you're doing, do only that thing. If you're eating, just eat. Don't read, don't scroll, don't watch TV, just eat. If you're talking to someone, just talk to them. Don't check your phone. Don't think about what's next. Don't plan your response while they're speaking. Just listen. If you're working on something, just work on that thing. Don't have 15 tabs open. Don't answer emails while you're writing. Don't divide your attention. Just focus on the one thing in front of you. What you'll discover is remarkable. When you give your full attention to one thing at a time, it doesn't take longer. It actually takes less time, and you do it better. But more importantly, you'll feel different. There's a quality of peace that comes from full presence that you simply cannot access when your attention is scattered. The fragmented mind can never be at peace. The divided attention will always feel overwhelmed. But when you gather your awareness and place it fully on this one task, this one moment, this one breath, something settles. The chaos quiets. The urgency softens. And you find yourself in a state of flow where action becomes effortless, where time seems to expand, where you're productive and peaceful simultaneously. Now I want to talk to you about something that might surprise you, and that's the role of rest in maintaining your peace. We've been taught that rest is something you earn after you work hard enough. We've been taught that rest is for the lazy, that rest is wasted time. But that's completely backwards. Rest isn't the reward for work. Rest is what makes work sustainable. Rest isn't lazy. Rest is essential. Rest isn't wasted time. Rest is when integration happens, when healing occurs, when creativity emerges, when wisdom arises. If you're not resting, you're not operating at full capacity. You're running on fumes. And when you run on fumes, everything is harder, everything takes longer, everything feels more overwhelming. So I'm giving you permission right now to rest. Not just sleep, although that's important too, but real rest, deep rest. Rest where you're not thinking about what you should be doing. Rest where you're not feeling guilty. Rest where you're simply allowing your nervous system to recalibrate, your mind to settle, your body to restore. This might mean meditation. It might mean taking a walk in nature. It might mean sitting quietly with a cup of tea. It might mean lying on your couch and staring at the ceiling. Whatever it is for you, you need it. You need it regularly. You need it without apology. Because without rest, there is no peace. There's only varying degrees of depletion. Let me address something else that steals peace in the midst of busyness. The future. Most of your anxiety about being busy isn't actually about now. It's about all the things you're going to have to do later. It's about next week, next month, next year. It's about the never-ending cascade of responsibilities stretching out before you. And when you allow your mind to project into that imagined future, when you try to carry all of that at once, of course you feel overwhelmed. You're trying to live 100 moments simultaneously. But here's the truth. You can only live one moment. This one. Right now. And in this moment, you're okay. In this moment, you can handle what's in front of you. So practice bringing yourself back. Again and again and again. When you notice your mind running ahead, planning, worrying, catastrophizing about all the busyness to come, gently bring yourself back to now. Ask yourself, what does this moment require of me? And then do just that. Not the next thing. Not the thing after that. Just this one thing. This one step. This one breath. This one action. And then the next moment will come and you'll handle that too. But you don't need to handle it now.